I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. With us, a regular guest, and you may recall back in May of this year, 2015, and he hadn't made this call before, not that I know of, at least not on USA Watch. And I don't think he didn't make it to me personally because we're friends, but back in May of 2015, and this call came with a chart and research, not a guess. And he said, whoa, stock market's topping right here, right now. In May, it's topping. And, you know, some of my people who follow the site have been on and said, hey, wow, it was a big call by that guy. And I'll tell you who he is in a second if you already figured that out. That was a big call. I sold when he said sell, 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 and I did. And, of course, I'm talking about Gregory Mannarino of TradersChoice.net. Gregory Mannarino, thank you for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com. Congratulations on a big call. We're down more than 10%, a couple of thousand points. I don't know of anybody else who made that call, you know, that, hey, this is it, folks, it's the top of the market. You did. Congratulations, my friend. I want to move on to your to post-call now. So your call was, this is the top of the market. And what I am increasingly hearing on the mainstream press and what I'm hearing on the financial channels, I keep hearing, this is just a correction. Is what's going on in the stock market just a correction, or are you going to double down on your this is the top and we're going lower call?
Greg, we are definitely going lower. Everything that I look at here, and it's a lot of material, is pointing lower. I can say this with a high degree of certainty. This is just beginning. This is just beginning. And again, if things continue on their current trajectory, we are going to see a sell-off in this market that's going to spin people's heads around. There's no doubt about it. In my opinion here, the party is over. And there's going to be an incredible price to pay for the frank misdeeds. I mean, this is absolute financial irresponsibility by the Federal Reserve. And my only question is this: who's going to be held responsible? I mean, they have created an environment of risk. There's nowhere else for people to put cash except in the market at this time. Savers are being robbed. I mean, this is no secret. So again, all they've created, and it's so simple to see, is asset bubbles all over the place, and inverse bubbles. Inverse bubbles referring to suppressed assets. And all of this is going to correct to fair market value. It's that simple. It is a mathematical certainty for which there is no way out. No amount of anything that whatever world central bank is going to try to do can indefinitely push off this market doing its sole job. And that is to determine fair market value, Greg. And it's going to
Well,
be...
you know who's in your corner, and I say who's in your corner because you beat him way to the punch on this. Carl Icahn is the latest in a long line of people. Schiller, danger in the market. Carl Icahn, billionaire corporate raider investor, saying that there's danger ahead and that, they're creating bubbles. Oh, it sound familiar? And I think some of these folks, not so much Schiller because he's not really a market maker, Robert Schiller from Case Schiller, Yale professor. But Icahn, he bellied up to the bar on this. I mean, he could have said this, 2 or 3 years ago? Whoa, we're printing money like crazy, and we got 0% interest rates, and we're creating a bubble. Now, he comes out and says, oh, there's danger? I think this might be, some of his legend management or his profile management or his the perception by the public that, oh, I warned you all. He couldn't warn us 2, 3, 4 years ago?
Well, there's a lot that is riding underneath all this, Greg. Look, it's no secret that the Federal Reserve has created a party atmosphere for market participants. So why someone like Carl Icahn has not come out until now, echoing what people like you and me and a lot of other guys have been saying for a while.
He sounds like you.
It's pretty simple.
He sounds like you a year or 2 years ago. He sounds like you. And nobody ever, and a lot of other people, like you said, but nobody ever thought in their wildest dreams. What he doesn't say is all the fraud and misdeeds. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but he does sound like you. Go ahead.
Well, exactly. But here's what's going on. Carl Icahn, he's a capitalist. He's trying to make the market situation work for him. And that's what he has been doing up until now, no doubt about it. You know, a lot of that's what traders do, try to capitalize on the market that they have. You trade the market in front of you, not the one that you want, but the one that's in front of you. And that's what he's been doing. Now, I think there's multiple facets to this. But the reason why he's coming out now, I believe, is this. He's starting to see red flags all over the place, and he's trying to, again, maybe cover his own rear end as this moves forward so he can say, hey, look, I tried to warn you, just like Janet Yellen did recently, just like Alan Greenspan did recently, Robert Shiller, which you also mentioned, and there were other Fed presidents who are actually saying, hey, look, something is going to occur, and there's no doubt about it. Look, the writing has been on the wall for years upon years. I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago speaking about how most people are unable to see, down the road a little bit, or they don't want to. But the writing has been on the wall for quite a long time that these Federal Reserve created distortions, which their magnitude is hard to even imagine. So you can see how bad this is going to correct at one particular time. And I believe we're starting to see that now. Again, these big lofty people are coming out now because they're trying to say, hey, I warned all of you when
character management.
over,
I think a lot of it is character management, or blame management, or that they don't want their good name to be sullied because they're the ones they're the people at the top. They're the 1/100th of 1%.
Exactly.
I'm a good guy.
They can say, I told all of you out there, I said this was going to happen. Look how smart I am. You know, this is what they're doing here. And everything that Carl Icahn said is, with regard to where this is going, is absolutely true. I cannot disagree with one point that he had brought up here. Again, this is stuff that people like myself and you and I have been talking about for a long time.
If they really want to come clean,
we're starting to see
they should talk about the massive fraud, which is why so many in the gold community miss this. I mean, massive fraud with gold and manipulation. LIBOR, look at the pleaded cases to LIBOR, the pleaded cases to Forex manipulation. They pled guilty. This is a statement of fact. This is massive, hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of fraud in markets around the world. And, we've also had, major implications for the gold market. Here is the latest, and when it comes out in USA Today, it's bubbling to the top. And what are we talking about? We're talking about a European investigation into the gold market, and the banks rigged the price. Well, we know they're not rigging it to go up. We know they're not rigging it to go to the stratosphere. They're rigging it to be suppressed, as they've been doing for years because they want the dollar to look good. But isn't that a big tell that if they have to rig Forex, they have to rig LIBOR, they have to rig the currency markets, they have to rig the stock market, they have to rig the mortgage market, they have to rig all the markets. And the latest is which is going to probably unfold here in the USA Today is going to be the gold market is going to be we've already know that to be confirmed, but now it's really bubbling up. It's a major problem. Isn't that a sign of that this is getting close to the end?
Absolutely correct. There's no doubt. And it goes way beyond that. We have individual companies that for the longest time, has anyone wondered why all these companies are involved in massive stock buyback programs? What are they trying to do? This is financial engineering to make themselves look good, to try to keep this market propped up. But all of this and all this fraud that you're talking about, everything is going to come to light. And again, what are we going to get? The one thing that I've been saying is coming for years, a correction of these distortions. And again, correction sounds like a small thing, but the magnitude, again, using that word twice so far in this interview, is going to be unbelievable because we have 7 years of distortions by a runaway central bank. And again, I want people to think about it. All the stuff you just talked about, and with the Federal Reserve, are they going to be held accountable for this? Because really they should, they won't. What's going to happen is the people, once again, are going to get it.
What do you think about what's going on with the Fed? What are they? Novi Prinz says they're afraid, best-selling author Novi Prinz, who was on last week, afraid to raise rates. What's your take on the Fed and what they're doing? They should be embarrassed here. They couldn't even raise the federal funds rate 25 basis points
or 0.25%. That was the biggest no confidence vote I have ever heard out of their mouths with regard to the U.S. economy and the global economy. We've seen the meltdown in the market since that time. I don't care, and I even said it on your show, I believe, last time, the time before that. Whatever the Fed was going to do was going to melt down this market and not either raise or not raise. And I also said that more than likely they were not going to raise rates. They can't do it at this particular time unless, Greg, they want to pop the bubble here. Again, we're already seeing it burst. I think we're going to see this accelerate if the Federal Reserve is going to raise rates sometime this year, even nudge them, the token, whatever you want to call it, 25 basis points, is going to put pressure on the market. And what's going to happen? Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JPMorgan, Icahn, people like myself are going to short this market. This is a setup. This is what I've been trying to warn people about for the longest time. You've got the mainstream financial pundits saying, buy the dips, buy the dips. Yeah, really, over 2,000 points since the top. They've been telling people to buy the dips. They've been getting murdered on the way down. Why? Greg, this is the biggest scam in the history of the world. They are trying to keep the market liquid. The mainstream financial channels need to keep the regular guy in this market as long as humanly possible to keep it liquefied so everyone else can get themselves into the right positions, and then when it tanks, the wealth transfer occurs. All the cash that's been put in the market by the regular guy is siphoned off legally, Greg, to the Goldman Sachs, to the JPMorgan, to the Morgan Stanley, to all of those people who know how to take advantage of this. And this is what I'm trying to warn people. I'm one of those people who's going to take advantage of this, no doubt about it. But I am trying to warn as many people as I can, telling them what's going to happen, because I'm going to do it. So people, listen to me, listen to Icahn, and just really think about this setup that is occurring right now. It's unbelievable, Greg. It's the greatest theft we have ever seen in the history of the world that has been purposely set up by the Federal Reserve. They understand what they have done. There is no possible way that they don't realize that by suppressing interest rates for this long, that they have created distortions across the spectrum of every asset class so great that it's difficult to even get your head around. So what that means, Greg, is when this thing really starts to get going, and we can see this accelerate as we move forward, forget about any prior crash that we've had. This one could eclipse them all.
One of your points, and one of the things that you've said in the past is watch the bond market. And, rates have actually gone down some. Maybe that's a fear trade. They're down around 2, with 10-year Treasury down 2.10 or something like that. Just above 2%. What do you think about the bond market? You say it's going to be the biggest. Watch the bond market. When things hit the fan, watch the bond market. What's your appraisal of the bond market going on right now?
All right, there's a few things that are in play right now. Number one, yes, is the initial knee-jerk reaction where we get cash rushing into the bond. That's the fear trade, into the bond market, into the debt market, which is no good. We understand that already here. I would not be surprised at all to see us break below 2% with the 10-year as this moves forward. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the 10-year hit 1.5. Again, why? Because as this thing starts to accelerate, we're going to see the fear trade. We're going to see a few other things play out, which is occurring as well. As the market pulls back, we spoke about this, you and I, several times. It's going to pull commodities with it. It's going to pull precious metals with it.
The precious metals,
are going to decouple. They're going to decouple, Greg. Again, why? Gold and silver specifically, exactly. I call this an X-wave. I wrote about this a while back here. You're going to see commodities begin to rise as the stock market goes down, creating almost like an X-wave pattern. Again, we're going to see all of this correct to fair market value. And my take is something I've been saying. In fact, I wrote about this in my free publication now, which anyone can get on my website, traderschoice.net, 197-page ebook here. I talk about how we're going to see gold be double the Dow. For example, Dow 4,000 means we're going to get gold 8,000. And again, people are going to laugh at these numbers here, but they are so well within the realm of reality if you look at global debt versus real assets versus an inflated stock market and distortions across the spectrum. I mean, it could go much higher based in U.S. dollars. But Greg, here, look, it all comes down to this. We are now at the doorstep, beyond any doubt, of a major financial event, which is going to rock the core of the earth.
China's lost 40% of its value in 2015. The Federal Reserve's so freaked out they can't raise 0.25%. There's a rampant fraud going on around the globe. Brazil real is in free fall. Other currencies are in free fall. They're suppressing gold like crazy. That's the inverse, racket. Instead of trying to push everything up like bond values, and which means yields are down. With bond values in the stock market, they're doing the opposite with gold. They're trying to, snuff it out as much as they can, but that's creating another bizarre turn, and that is people buying all the inventory. I mean, now the premiums on silver are up to $5-6 an ounce. If you want to buy a silver eagle, gold premiums are also headed higher, and demand is high, inventory is shrinking, and the price is staying low. What gives?
Well, again, this is beyond any shadow of any doubt being manipulated to the downside, and this is a godsend, in my opinion. Here, people need to embrace this. All they need to do is have a little basic understanding of how things are going to play out, how they are playing out now. We understand now that there are 220 claims per every 1 ounce of gold now.
Over 200
for deliverable gold at the COMEX. Is that correct? I think it's 220.
That's the official number.
Something like that. I mean, think about what's going to happen as that plays out here. It's incredible. And I could say this. Let me do one more thing real quick. We're not done seeing the action by world central banks, and you and I have spoken about this many times, to keep this propped up. And I have said, we spoke about this, that we could see negative interest rates come here to the United States. We spoke about this a year and a half ago, something like that. I don't even know. I would not be surprised to see that happen. Because, again, why? Because the alternative is too horrible to contemplate, Greg, because this debt problem is not just a financial issue. This is a resource problem. And they understand how dire it is.
John Boehner, he doesn't want to be he doesn't want to be Speaker of the House anymore. He's going to leave, too. And I just think to myself, well, why are these high-profile? We just see this steady trickle parade of high-profile people saying, "Whoops, I'm done. I'm calling it quits." Why do you think that is?
Let me bring up one more thing. How about Janet Yellen having her little dizzy spell at the last? You remember that? This is taking its toll on this woman here. She understands. Look, she has to sit there and try to blow sunshine up the crack of everything. But the fact of the matter is, she understands more clearly than anyone else, this is not sustainable. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her go too as we move forward. Again, health reasons, whatever it's going to be. Does she want to be at the helm of the Federal Reserve, the public enemy number freaking one, when this whole entire thing comes down? Greg, there's no doubt about it. And she should run, as far as I'm concerned, because heads should roll.
There's no fixing this, right? There's no fixing this until after a crash. There's no avoiding the crash. That's what we've been doing. There is no fixing this. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
No. No. There's no way. We have hit a critical mass. We have hit it a while back. And they continue to inflate this and inflate this and inflate this. And talking about inflating, I can promise anyone who's listening here that despite the fact that we are, in my opinion, at peak debt, something that we talked about recently, all the world central banks are going to continue to inflate and inflate and inflate until that bubble bursts, because that's the biggest of them all, the debt market. That's why we say watch the bond market. That initial knee-jerk we spoke about, that is not going to last too. We are at one particular time when people realize that the debt is no good. We're going to see those rates skyrocket rapidly. And when that happens, that's going to put enormous pressure on equities. And all this cash, Greg, is simply going to look for somewhere else to go. And that is going to be commodities.
But do you think we continue the crash scenario that we've been seeing so far until it just hits, as you say, critical mass, where just the whole thing drops out?
Absolutely. A couple of weeks ago, I had actually done a video on my own channel saying that we could be weeks away. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did it. 2 weeks away from a major market crash. Again, if things continue to follow the way they are now, this is what is going to happen. It could be today. It could be tomorrow or next week. Again, once we start to see, this is how this is going to play out, Greg. We are now in the most leveraged market we have ever seen in world history. People have borrowed from every avenue possible to participate in this Federal Reserve inflated stock market. So what's going to happen when we start seeing selling accelerate? Well, people are going to go running for the door. They're going to go running for the door because they can sustain losses greater than their initial investment. No one wants to be there in this leveraged market like that. So we're going to see we could absolutely see a rapid sell-off, boom, 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 boom in succession. And who knows where the bottom is? There is no bottom. No one can say this is a hard bottom or that's a hard bottom. It's impossible in this environment. It is frightening at this particular time for anyone to be on the long side of this market, seriously. And again, I do believe we are going to see an unfolding of events moving forward, which is going to push this stock market into lows that no one can even believe moving forward here. And other assets will correct as well. Look, there's no doubt about it. There are other assets that are in bubbles. One of these is housing. I spoke about this a while back. I believe everything has been distorted, including housing, by the Federal Reserve's actions. Irresponsibility to such a degree that these people should be in prison.
Gregory Mannarino, TradersChoice.net. Thanks for coming on for our market update midweek here. Thank you very much for joining us on USAWatchdog.com.